Hey guys, how's it going? This is Gerald once again. I had to get off of one device and hop back onto another. So now I am on my uh, phone. Uh, and so hopefully, woo, after trying to go live twice, hopefully some of you can go ahead and hop on here. I definitely want to go ahead and get to some additional questions. Hopefully, uh, this where I'm at, the internet holds up. Hopefully, the device, no other problems, challenges, etc., etc. I may not be able to see all of the questions because I'm on a smaller device, but let's hope. I got a couple of people who have come back on here or hop back on here. So um, yeah, vacant land investing Q&A. I was talking about land banking the last time I was on. So one of the things you all want to go ahead and look at in your local market, if you go ahead and go to Google, I want you to type in land bank your state, right? Land bank Georgia, land bank Tennessee, land bank North Carolina. A lot of states, a lot of counties have these land banks. These are essentially like leftover properties that you can pick up for 20, 30, 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar, sometimes as low as 2, 3, 4 grand, 5 grand. Phenomenal opportunities for a lot of you that are looking for inexpensive pieces of real estate, right? Um, when it comes to vacant land, the one thing you want to do, someone had asked about ownership in the last before that stream cut off. Someone had asked about ownership. So the free way of doing it is to go to the local county site and to look up the address of that property owner. And that's going to tell you who owns that property. If you want to go ahead and acquire that property or own that property, make the owner an offer, right? Reach out to the owner and make them an offer. So if you have a vacant piece of land and it's an infill lot in the city and that land has an address to it, it should have a forwarding address. When you look the land lot up, it should have a forwarding address where you can go ahead and reach out to the owner, to the people that actually own the lot, and make them an offer. If it does not have an address, chances are it has something called an APN, an assessor parcel number. You can look up the APN and that APN should have a forwarding address to whomever owns that lot. Make them an offer, right? Contact them, make them an offer. And how you contact them is you can mail them, you can get their contact information, have it skip traced so that you can find their email address and their phone number, give them a call, make them an offer. Okay? Give them a call, make them an offer. And so this is how you go ahead and you reach individuals who own vacant lots throughout the city, even rural vacant land. Lots of times you'll have rural land that has no address. But if you look up that rural land in that particular county, as long as you have an APN, an assessor parcel number, you can look up that land lot's address, put it into the local county site. It will give you the forwarding address of the owner. You contact the owner and you make an offer. You can make an offer multiple ways, right? You can mail the owner, you can do a skip trace on that property, and you can, through skip trace, and you can find the owner's contact phone number and email address, reach out to the owner. Sometimes, if it's a very unique name, you can find the owner on Facebook. I mean, it's meta now, but you can find the owner on Facebook. Reach out to the owner and make them an offer, right? Make them a written offer as long as it's written, right? Make them a written offer on that property so that you can go ahead and acquire that property. So as you all are coming into this new live, like I said, hopefully the internet holds up and whatnot. I want to talk about some of the most profitable ways to go ahead and to deal with vacant land investing. There's multiple ways to go ahead and do this, right? Now, as you all can see the map behind me, I focus a lot on rural vacant land. This is land that is essentially out in the middle of nowhere, right? Believe it or not, there is a huge demand for rural vacant land, despite what everybody thinks, right? There is a huge demand for rural vacant land. Now, when I'm dealing, me specifically, when I'm dealing with rural vacant land, I'm looking for the biggest bang for my buck, right? So I'm not, I used to focus more so on smaller lots. I'm looking for, let's say, 5 acres and up. That's just me. Way out in the middle of nowhere. That's just me. So I'm looking for anywhere between 5 to 40 acres. Okay. Why? Uh, this is where my biggest pool of buyers are, and I'm still staying within a price range where I can go ahead and profit, right? So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to go ahead and reach those owners who own rural vacant land way out in, like, one of my hotspots is like Nevada or Arizona or New Mexico, or let's say, for instance, Colorado, right? I'm looking for 5 acres, anywhere between 5 to 40 acres, rural vacant land, way out in the middle of nowhere, where this land is just sitting there not doing anything. There's so many people who want to own land. It's crazy, right? It's insane. And so you can buy these lots for 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents on a dollar, 40 cents on a dollar, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you go about pricing, right? How do you go about valuing rural vacant land that's way out in the middle of nowhere? Somewhat similar to what you would do with single family houses, right? If you can find lots, other vacant lots that are around that vacant lot, and see essentially what they are selling for, that's one way. However, in some areas, it's very challenging and very difficult to find lots that have recently sold. And so what you want to do is look at two things, right? You want to look at actives and you want to look at solds lots of times when you're dealing with rural vacant land. One of the places that you can go ahead and look at, one of the sites you can go ahead and look at is a site called Land Watch. Huge inventory of vacant land, Land Watch. You can also go to land.com. Huge inventory of vacant land, right? You can also go to landcentury.com, right? You can also go to landpin.com. You can also go to Zillow, right? And Redfin. A lot of these sites have huge inventories of vacant land. If you're looking at actives, and you are focusing on 5 acre lots, and you're looking to sell, let's say you sell for two ways, right? You can either sell for cash or for terms, which is what I love to do, is sell for terms. You can look at, if you're selling for cash, you want to be, let's say, for instance, 5 acre lot in Nevada. Those lots sell for, just hypothetically, they sell for $10,000. Well, if you want to sell yours quickly, just price it a little lower, right? Maybe you go ahead and you sell that lot for, maybe you can go ahead and sell that lot for $8,500 or $9,250 if you want to sell it for cash. Now, if you really want to go ahead and sell it, I'm going to tell you, I want you to think about residual income. I want you to think about cash flow. I want you to think about passive income. Okay. So if you really want to sell it, I want you to think like you would buy it, like you would a car, right? So let me give you all a scenario. Many of us, when we're buying cars, we go to a dealer and we put so much down, so much a month. When we're buying houses, we put so much down, we put so much a month. When you begin to acquire vacant land, I want you to think about it in the same way, right? You're gonna, when you acquire the property, when you buy it for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, 40 cents on the dollar, whatever it is. So let's say, for instance, I buy a piece of rural vacant land, which I did, and I bought a 5-acre lot for $2,500. I want to go ahead and sell it for 10, maybe 12, even $15,000, right? So, but what I want to do is I want to sell it on terms. Why? I want the cash flow. And so I'll sell it for, let's say, $250 down and $300 a month for 5 years. The number of buyers that you will attract if you're offering terms is massive. And one of the questions that was asked not too long ago is, where do I find buyers? It's simple. You can find buyers on Craigslist. You go to this, you can go ahead and place your sites, place your properties in different Facebook groups. You can create email lists. The buyers and the possibility for selling rural vacant land on terms is enormous, guys. Number one, you'll get your return, what you put out on the property, you'll get your return back within a 3 to 6 month period of time. Number one. Number two, you have this passive residual income that comes in year after year after year after year after year. You can do this with rural vacant land. You can do this with lots, residential infill lots inside of a city, right? You can, selling on terms is gold. Imagine this, right? So many of you have heard of the term wholesaling, right? You've heard of wholesaling, you've heard of fix and flip, you've heard of all of these different terms, right? When it comes to wholesaling, it starts with a seller and a investor or somebody who's wholesaling real estate, right? They negotiate, the wholesaler gets the property at a discount, sells the property assigns the property to a cash buyer. The cash buyer goes ahead and closes the deal. The cash buyer then goes ahead and fixes and flips the property for a retail price to an end buyer. The end buyer is going to qualify for terms. The end buyer is going to go ahead and get a loan 99.9% of the time. What is that? So much down, so much a month. So all you have to do is start doing those same things when it comes to vacant land. Okay? It is beautiful. And the competition is a lot more, it's a lot less than, let's say, wholesaling or single family homes or what have you, right? It is a beautiful niche. You can do different things with rural vacant land. You can wholesale it. You can buy it, sell it for cash. You're going to do better, in my opinion, if you sell it on terms, right? If you're selling on terms, some people, when you buy for cash, some people, depending on the location, because we know real estate is location, location, location. Some people will enter into a lease with you where they don't even want to own it, but they'll go ahead and they'll rent the lot from you for 6 months, a year, 2 years, etc., etc. Land is a beautiful business, right? And lots of times you don't have to deal with, so you have with rural vacant land or just vacant land period, no tenants, toilets, termites, right? So you don't have any of that headache to go ahead and deal with, which means you don't necessarily need a management company to go ahead and keep up with the upkeep and deal with the tenants and deal with this and deal with that. Vacant land investing is a beautiful business, guys. Beautiful business. As you guys go ahead and come into this new stream, it looks like it's holding up now. Feel free to drop your questions. And if I don't get to the questions, please, at the end of the stream, do me a favor, place that question in the comments so I can go ahead and answer it for you, along with some links and some additional resources, okay? Once again, I apologize for the last stream. It just didn't hold up. But dealing with rural vacant land is a beautiful thing. I want to talk about something else, guys, with regards to rural vacant land as well. I keep saying rural vacant land, just vacant land as well. And this vacant land has to do with foreclosure auctions and tax lien auctions and the opportunity that is there, right? So what happens is this, and I want you all to go ahead. These auctions typically they're free to attend, and I want you to go ahead and go to one as an observer. This is why. I've been going to auctions for years, right? I started off my real estate journey in California. I'm now living here in Georgia. So when you attend these auctions, whether they be a sheriff's sale, a foreclosure auction, a tax lien or tax deed auction, et cetera, et cetera. When you go to these auctions, I just want you to go ahead and go there to observe. What are you observing, right? So you're going to see different people bidding on different properties, right? So what's going to happen is, as you attend these auctions, there's going to be land listings, vacant land listings that pop up. They're just going to pop up. People are going to bid on them. Now, it's going to seem like some of these people that are bidding on these vacant lots, it's going to seem like they're paying retail price. Some of them are, but some of them are paying retail price for a specific reason. What do I mean? So I want to go a little deeper a little bit. I want you all to hear me on this. What happens is this. When you see people at auction, at public auction, and not everybody, but some of these people who are bidding at close to retail, sometimes it can be a touch above retail, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want you to sit there and complain like, man, they just paid retail for that lot. I want you to ask yourself why. Why? Why did they pay retail for that vacant lot, right? You all ever been to, like in your, wherever you live, you ever see something as you're driving down the street, it's like, man, okay, they're tearing that down and they're building up a store. Or all of a sudden they start building up a mall or a housing community or whatever the case may be, or they're tearing that down and they're building something different. This is what I discovered a while back, right? Whenever you see people going to these auctions and they're bidding, some of these people that are bidding at retail, and oftentimes it can be above retail, ask yourself, don't complain about it. Ask yourself why. The people that are bidding at retail, I discovered this a while back. So I was like, why the heck are they doing that? What they've done is this. The smart, savvy investors, what they've done, and what the rest of the audience doesn't understand, is they've done something called their due diligence. The people, the investors, the people that are attending these auctions, what they've done is that they've done their homework on that lot that they're bidding on. And so what they've done is they contacted planning and zoning about that specific lot. What they've done is they've asked planning and zoning, A, am I able to rezone that lot from residential to commercial? Or B, am I able to subdivide that lot? In other words, am I able to turn that lot into two lots or three lots or four lots, et cetera, et cetera? What they've done is they've asked planning and zoning. They've done something called due diligence. They've asked planning and zoning if they can value add that lot. Oftentimes in the areas that you all see something else being developed, something being torn down and something new being developed, is you'll get people that have bought lots from individuals But what they have done beforehand, and they've done something called due diligence. They've contacted planning and zoning and asked if they can value add that lot. It's genius. So when you see somebody at local auction and they have bid at close to retail and it doesn't make sense to you, don't ask yourself that. Don't say to yourself that's crazy. I want you to ask yourself why. Because these individuals have gone ahead, they've done a due diligence, and what they're going to do is buy that lot at what you see is retail. But imagine they bought a lot that's worth $50,000 and they paid $50,000 for that lot on a residential level. But what you don't know is they're getting ready to rezone that lot from residential to commercial. Now what's happened is that lot goes from being valued at 50,000 to probably 250,000 or 175,000 or 375,000, depending on the lot, depending on what they're going to do with it. In other words, their end game that they're playing lots of times is totally different than somebody else's end game that doesn't understand what they're trying to achieve. The reason I bring this up is this. I said this in another video. In spending time in different tax lien and tax deed groups, you think people are bidding retail and there's no competition. No, it's not that they're bidding retail. It's that they've done their due diligence and they understand something that many new investors, even seasoned investors, don't understand. They understand the value add game. They understand that they can turn that lot into 2 or 3 or 4 lots. Or they understand that they can go ahead and turn that lot from residential to commercial. Boom. And so when I started going to the auctions, I thought, wow, so that's what they're doing, because many of them start showing up with their contractors. Some of them started showing up with like different individuals. I'm like, oh. See, a lot of people in the audience think that they're bidding retail, and they're actually kind of bidding wholesale. And they're wiping away all the competition, because many people don't understand that what they've done is they've done something called due diligence. They've done their homework ahead of time. And so if you all started attending auction and you bought a half-acre lot in your area, but before you bought, you knew that property is coming up for auction. But before you bought that lot, you talked to planning and zoning and asked them, hey, am I able to go ahead and turn this into commercial, or am I able to go ahead and subdivide this lot? And they say, you know what, there's a strong possibility that, yeah, you can go ahead and turn this lot from this to this. And that lot comes up in your area for $30,000. And you got some competition there and you bid retail, which is $30,000. And everybody there looking at you like, why in the heck is that crazy person bidding retail for that lot? It's because at the end of the day, once you buy it, once you secure it, you can go ahead and petition to turn that lot from residential to commercial. Now it's no longer worth 30. Now it's worth 130 or 150 or 180. Why? Because you can build something else on top of that, something else on that lot, right? You can turn that lot from a vacant lot to a 8-unit apartment building. That's with no construction. Like you can go ahead and flip that lot to an investor, right? Builders in the area. It's another way to go ahead and deal with vacant land that most people are not even talking about, right? So there's so many different things that you can do with vacant land, whether it be way out in the middle of nowhere, whether it be your next door neighbor, somebody that wants to go ahead and it can be. So here's another thing, right? You're in an area where you see houses, right? So you got a house, a vacant lot, a house. Look up the owner for that vacant lot. Download an app called Land Glide. I think it's it might still be a free 7-day trial. If not, it's like $10 a month or something like that. It's called Land Glide, the Land Glide app. And while you're in front of these vacant lots in these residential areas, you're able to pull up owner information on that lot. So it'll bring up the parcel information for that property, and then automatically it will bring up who owns that lot. Contact that owner, see if you can buy that lot. Now, once you secure it, whether you wholesale it, whether you buy it for cash, whatever you do with it, one of the things you want to keep in mind is this: the biggest buyers for vacant land, oftentimes they exist next door, right? Whether that be rural, or whether that be residential, or whether that be commercial. Think about it like this: somebody who owns, like the what I just described, house, vacant lot, house. Somebody on either side of that vacant lot is like, man, I've always wanted to go ahead and make my property larger. Lots of times, the best buyers are the people that are right next door. Write them a letter. Let them know that you got a piece of vacant land under contract. And you'll get a lot of buyers that way. That's another tip, right? Even with rural vacant land, when you're looking at land, because land is you got one parcel here, one parcel next door, one parcel next door, one parcel over here. Contact the other owners that are around that rural vacant lot. Lots of times, these people, because they've already bought in that area, they like that area, they know that area. You give them a sweet deal, and they're just like, whoa, yeah, I'll buy it. Beautiful thing, right? So a lot of things you all can go ahead and do with rural vacant land. If you're just getting going, and you can do something like a vacant land arbitrage. This is what I mean. So you can go on a site like landwatch.com, right? Landwatch.com has tons and tons of vacant land lots. Lots of times you got people that are in there that have rural vacant land that are actually selling the land on payments. And what you can do is talk to them, because they're investors, they own the land. Talk to them about you buying the vacant land on payments. In other words, you give them the down payment and the monthly payment. So let's say the down payment and monthly payment total, let's say that's $400. Cool. And let's say, for instance, the down payment and monthly payment is $400. So the monthly payment is $150 and the down payment is $250, $400. Done. Now you have control of this land. You find out that you can actually, with this vacant lot, you can turn around and resell it for $300 down and $275 a month, right? The investor, oftentimes, because they have lots of land in inventory, the investor oftentimes, as long as you make that monthly payment, they're totally cool with that. What they will tell you ahead of time is, hey, you know what, look, as long as once that buyer is done, we'll go ahead and put the deed into that end buyer's name. So many different things you all can do with vacant land. It's incredible. It takes less than $1,000 to get started, less than $500 to get started, right? Cheapest piece of land I ever bought, $10. $10. Why? Because oftentimes you'll have people that have bought land 5, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that wanted to do something with it, but never got around to it. It's incredible. And it happens every day, all day, right? Where the desire is there, the want to and the will to is there, but this thing called life gets in the way, right? And so you'll have people that just want to get rid of their properties. brings me to people that are behind on property taxes, right? One of the reasons you can go ahead and buy a piece of vacant land for $100 is that when you buy the land for $100, some of these people are behind on property taxes. Why are they behind? What they're essentially telling you, especially people that are 2 years old and older, that have taxes that are 2 years old and older, what they're essentially telling you is they don't want that lot anymore. They're tired, right? Because taxes on land, lots of times, depending on the location, lots of times is a lot cheaper than it is on single family homes, right? So you can acquire the land for, let's say, $100, $200, $500. Why? Because they may have 3, 4, 500, 1,000, 1,500 in back property taxes. And then you find out that that lot is worth, let's say, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. Oftentimes, people just don't want to deal with it. That is very, very real. Okay, you can acquire land really for pennies on the dollar in two scenarios, right? So you got two things when you're talking about people who are behind on property taxes. You have people. Oh, as you all go ahead and come in, can you guys go ahead and click that like button? And if you can, go ahead and share it. Either during the stream or after stream, what have you. So you got two types of people that are behind on property taxes, right? So, well, not two types of people, but you got two different scenarios, right? So you got people who are behind on property taxes before the property goes to tax lien or tax deed auction. And then you got people after the property goes to tax lien or tax deed auction. If you're focusing on people who are behind on property taxes that own vacant land, some of the most highest motivated sellers are people that own vacant land, that are behind on property taxes, that live out of state because they can't get close to that lot. If they live out of state, they're behind on taxes. They're motivated to do something, right? They're not in state. They're not building on a lot. If they don't do something, then that property is going to go to tax lien or tax deed foreclosure. They're going to lose the lot if they don't do something. So that's a great way to go ahead and target people who are behind on property taxes. And I would say, for the sake of this live right here, focus on people who are behind on taxes 2 years old and older. They're behind on taxes at least a couple of years. Why do I say that? Because if they're behind on taxes the first year is we all procrastinate to an extent. And lots of times people will go ahead and they'll get to it to go ahead and pay off property taxes. So if you're going to target people who are behind on taxes, people that are out of state, people that are behind on taxes, beautiful when it comes to dealing with people and finding properties at super duper duper discounts. All right. Also, when you're talking about going to tax lien or tax deed auction, you're not necessarily, and if it's a tax deed, like in California, it's essentially once you go ahead, you win the property. Once you're at the auction, you win the property. With a tax lien, like in places in Florida, with a tax lien, you own an interest in the property. And so you can't, once the property goes to tax lien sale, what you cannot do, that property is not immediately yours. They have something called a redemption period. The owner has time to go ahead and redeem, in other words, get the interest of their property back by paying you a percentage. So you go to a tax lien sale, you won the auction, you're the high bidder, and let's say that amount is $300, right? They owe you $300, and I think parts of Florida, I think it's 16%, if I'm not sure. So they're either 300 plus 16%, because what they can do, they have, I believe it's 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, in Florida. I think they have like 2 years or 24 months to go ahead and to redeem the interest of that property. So for that reason, many people just want to deal with tax deed auctions. That's where you get the deed to the property. You buy the property. It goes to sale. It's almost essentially just like a foreclosure sale. They've lost the property. You pay, the property is yours. All right. But with a tax lien auction, it's still beautiful, right? Because 97, I want to say the percentage is anywhere between like 97, 98% of people end up redeeming their properties. All right. So you got 2%, maybe even 3% of people, depending on the state, location, etc., that actually fully foreclose, let that property go. Right. So these are some ways you can go ahead and invest in properties that are essentially behind on taxes. Right. There's a lot of things that you can do with vacant land, guys. And it's only limited to what it is you want to do. So anytime you enter into a deal, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's residential. I don't care if it's rural. I don't care if it's farmland. I don't care what it is. Always ask yourself, okay, what is my end game? What do I want to do with this deal? Do I want to wholesale it? Do I want to buy and hold? Do I want to buy it and turn around, sell it on terms? Do I want to buy it and lease it out or rent it out? Right? Do I want to buy it and put solar paneling on the property? Do I want to go ahead and put advertising on the lot? What do I want to do with this lot? Okay. Always ask yourself, what is my end game? In other words, what do I want to do with this particular lot? It's important because you don't want to go ahead and get stuck with a piece of lot that you don't know anything about. I want to go, and speaking of that, I want to go into something that's really, really important. When you all are doing research, it's another term for it is due diligence. When you're doing due diligence on lots, especially lots, is you want to understand what it is you're doing. A lot of it is above the scope of this video, because I don't, screen shares and all this different things. So some of these properties have IRS liens against them. Some of these properties have different types of mechanics liens against them. All right. Some of these properties have issues with the title. It's important that when you're buying vacant land, you really understand what it is you're buying, because you're not just buying the physical property that you see. You're acquiring some interest of the things that you essentially don't see. That's why in the beginning it is really, really important. Not even in the beginning, it's important, period, to go ahead and to go with either a closing attorney or with a title company. Okay. Now there's a fee attached to that. All right. That fee can be $1,000. That fee can be $1,500. That fee can be $2,000. But at the end of the day, that when you close that deal, that you have clear and marketable title, which obviously is the goal for many people, right? You can still sell a property and you can claim it. And I'm going to say this term, but a lot of people get it messed up. Okay, so when you quit claim it, it's called QUIT claim it, quit claim. It's not quick claim, QUICK claim. It's not that, it's quit claim. So when you quit claim it to an investor or another owner, they understand that process. Okay. They understand that this property comes with some issues with the title. Okay, they understand that they're acquiring the property in as is condition, both physically and on title and whatnot, right? You just have to know what it is you're doing when you're going through the acquisition process of a piece of vacant land, because you can buy a piece of land all day. It's not the land itself, it's making sure that you're acquiring a piece of property that doesn't have any issues. You may be acquiring a property that has some IRS issues that you didn't know anything about. And if you're going into this blindly, you can really hurt yourself. So it's important that you do your homework, you understand what it is you're getting involved in, because vacant land investing can be a beautiful business, right? Number one, you got to know your end game. Number two, as you're doing research, as you're doing due diligence, make sure you know what it is you're acquiring, right? You can acquire a piece of vacant land that's been sitting there for 17 years and not know that there's a reason that vacant land has been sitting there for 17 years. Why has it been sitting there for 17 years, right? Sometimes it's just sitting there. And then sometimes there are some issues against that lot that you don't know about until you begin to dig into it and do your own due diligence. Right? There can be some serious liens against that lot within itself. And so it's just important that you all understand and know what it is you're getting involved in when it comes to vacant land investing, guys. Okay? It's important. So, guys, once again, I apologize for the first stream. I wish it hadn't gone out, but I was having some internet issues. Obviously, on this right here, I'm just doing great. If you all need a one-on-one consultation, I got a link in the description. It'll lead you to about 10 or 15 different links. Link in the description if y'all need a one-on-one consultation. If y'all are interested, I do have and that also comes with a 1-hour consultation. I do have a vacant land course. Check out the link in the description, guys. If y'all need vacant land templates, that's everything there in the description, guys. So please, if I did not answer your question, do me a favor at the end of this live. Leave me a comment, right? But make sure as you leave me a comment and asking a question, make sure it's lengthy so I can go ahead and answer it, not just for you, but for everybody else that may have that same question. Okay? They may have that same question, guys. So thank you for the likes. If y'all haven't liked the video, please go ahead and give us some likes. Let it go out and share out to the community and other individuals that are out there. I think I need to come on and do more of these because I have like over 600 videos on here. And I can go ahead and talk. But what I really want to do is answer you all's questions. Like, what's your biggest challenge, your biggest struggle, getting started, et cetera, guys. So anyways, guys, this is Gerald. Thank you all for chiming in. Once again, I do apologize. If y'all need anything else, go ahead, check out the link in the description, guys. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend.